Wednesday, Happy New Year. I am so happy to be back. We had a nice little break over the holidays from Banter with Beth, but I'm really thrilled to be back with everybody today. So good morning. Hi, Ariel. Nice to see you this morning. It's 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 a great time for everybody right now. 2021, we have to we can all look toward the future. So much is going on, of course, with the virus. I'm in California. It is dire here in Southern California, so we are sheltering in place in the biggest, baddest way. And my heart goes out to everybody who is dealing with anything regarding the virus on any level, whether you're a frontline worker or if you're suffering from the virus or someone that you know is suffering from the virus. So with that in mind, we now do have a vaccine, so there's hope for the future. Georgia's turning out to be pretty darn good right now. So far, so good. Fingers crossed. Let's stay the course in Georgia, right? And we have hope for a beautiful winter and then walking into springtime. So, oh, my guest has joined. I'm so excited this morning. We are joined by Elisabeth Rohm, of course, of Law and Order fame, and I've been on her show a couple times, which is so great, Lunch with Liz, and I'm going to bring Liz on. Here we go. Good morning. Here she comes. Let's see if the connect. Yay! Hi.
Good morning.
Rachel. How you doing?
You know, I'm doing all right. I think that the results in Georgia are putting a little pep in everybody's step today.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
It was so funny. We decided this morning, like, let's go for a walk. And of course, it turned out to be garbage truck day. So we're trying to go for a walk and the dog is petrified by the garbage trucks. And what can you do? So we said, okay, we're not walking on Wednesdays. But we're just so excited to get out of the house and kind of,
of course.
Right?
I mean, seriously, I'll never forget the morning I was walking to the beach because I live here in Venice, and it was, the morning after the election, and I was just walking the dog and still sort of reeling from, what could be, the terror of all of that. And I suddenly heard people screaming and music playing. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, Biden won. It was just, anyway. Yeah. There's a lot of joy if you're a Democrat.
Definitely.
For sure.
Most definitely. And I really do believe, I have to believe and hope that the Democrats will do the right thing, that we're not going to swing so far left that we lose half the country. That's just not who our country is and what we're about. It's not who I believe.
No.
The real Americans are not at either end. We really are in the middle, and we really do want the best for everybody. So
absolutely.
I have to believe that. How was your New Year's?
My New Year's was beautiful. Very still in the pandemic bubble here in LA, and spent it with my best friend and her family. Nice. And my boyfriend, and it was just very quiet and easygoing, and not that much going on, but still lovely, celebratory.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, life is really simple these days. It's funny, we've talked so much about, the simplification of your life and really identifying who is significant, what your true purpose is. And I've had you on my live several times or twice talking about your true purpose and with your mother, with your family story, really, and, the documentary you're making. So right. Yeah, I feel I've gotten really dialed into that during the pandemic, as awful as it's been.
Well, so let's talk about what you've been doing, because you've been directing, which is so exciting that you're directing for the first time. And I love that Lifetime has given you this opportunity to direct, a piece, but what a piece. Oh my gosh. Let's tell everybody about what you've directed. It is huge.
Thanks, Beth. So the movie is called Girl in the Basement, and next week we're going to announce what the air date is going to be. So everybody that's here with us, please just pay attention, or I'll be posting when it's going to be coming out in February. but it's inspired by true events based on the Elisabeth Fritzl story. So if you happen to know a lot about true crime, which I do, being a Law and Order alum, I happen to be interested in things like that. So
Right.
the Elisabeth Fritzl story was in Austria in 2008. A woman, it was revealed that she had been put in the basement of her family home by her father. She had been imprisoned for 24 years, and he had raped her for those 24 years and made 7 children, and had
Seven children.
this very complex lie going with the wife upstairs about how these children kept getting dropped on the doorstep, and they raised 3 of the incest children, and a very, very dark, hard story to tell, but a true story, and one that is important because generational abuse and sexual abuse, physical abuse, it's eradicated when we face it and have these difficult conversations, which movies can and TV can do for us. I mean, Precious was one of my favorite movies, and it was so hard to watch, and
Oh my
I
gosh.
hope that this movie is challenging to watch, but can make an impact.
Right, right, for sure. I mean, this story, I was reading up on it, in preparation for today, and I am blown away by the layers of complexity of this story, considering that the wife was living up, the mother of the imprisoned daughter who's in the basement is living upstairs, and other siblings were living upstairs as well. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So there were many children, and they were living upstairs with their mom and dad, and some of these incest children were then raised upstairs as well, 3 of them. And Elisabeth Fritzl lives in anonymity in Austria with all of her children.
Wow.
And she is a
Wow.
survivor. And honestly, I mean, it tells such a dark story. It's such a dark time globally. May seem sort of counterproductive, but I felt actually it's not a dark story. The content of what happened to her is horrific, but she is a hero, and we all
Sure.
need more heroes. And she's living and breathing in Austria and surviving and trying to thrive. And I think of her all the time because, of course, the movie is a testament to her heroic nature, which I hope is
Absolutely.
inspiring for everybody.
Have you had a chance to meet her?
No,
Yeah.
no. I don't know that that's something she's looking for. I think she just
Right.
wants to move on with her life. But I have done true stories before about very difficult content as an actress, and I've particularly got an email in the last movie I had come out called Sleeping with Danger from the woman that I portrayed, saying that she was very worried about the movie. She'd heard about it and she was really happy with the portrayal. So you never know. You never know. I
You
hope
never
so.
do. I mean, I think actually right now is the perfect time for your movie to come out because, particularly with the pandemic, my understanding is that domestic abuse and domestic violence is,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an all-time high, but it has certainly risen during the pandemic. And so,
Listen, a lot of family dramas happen, a lot of friendships, a lot of family deep relationships have been challenged right now. Some have
right,
gotten stronger, some have broken apart through the stress and the
right.
trauma of what we're going through. And I would just, I would advise everybody to, try to be gentle with themselves, because no one feeling is permanent. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think we'll be moving through this, and it'll give us a chance to reflect on everything that happened to us during this time.
Absolutely. And we do always have to look for silver linings. When I think about my mom and her 6 siblings, and the reason that we've made the film, Would You Hide Me, is certainly not to negate what happened to them in the past, but there is a silver lining. There are people that are survivors and that look toward the future and say, I'm here and I'm going to make the best of a terrible situation and find ways even to give back, you know.
Right.
Not everybody turns inward and spirals down. People do rise to the occasion, and not everybody. Sometimes the circumstances are beyond your control, but sometimes when you come out to the other side, you have a choice. We all do have a choice when we come to the other side of any kind of conflict, to say, I'm going to live and carry this baggage around with me forever, or I'm going to move forward. And it sounds like that's what she's done, which is remarkable.
Yeah, and I think as filmmakers and storytellers, which we both are, that's, our gift, is to highlight stories of inspiration. The
Yes,
next
yeah.
movie I'm trying to make is about the Sandy Hook shootings
Oh, wow.
and Scarlett Lewis's son, Jesse Lewis, who was murdered. And we actually just passed December 14th, the anniversary for
Right.
Sandy Hook. But again, Scarlett Lewis has taken her pain and her agony and turned it into an opportunity to create a movement of love called the Choose Love Movement. You can go to chooselovemovement.org. And so I think that's what we do as artists. We tell stories that we hope, even if there are aspects of degradation and pain and despair in them, that we want them to inspire hope.
Right.
That you can survive and you can make it through anything. And, no matter what you've been through, you have a second chance. You have a second chance every day of your life to
Right.
start again.
Right. Yes, for sure. So tell me about some other things that you have been participating in. You're directing for sure, but my experience of you is so philanthropic. I mean, you have your hand in so many different causes, and you're just a person who just pays it forward constantly.
I was raised by a hippie. So she told me it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and what are you doing to help other people. And if you're not
Right.
spending 50% of your time trying to make an impact, then you've missed the whole point, and I created something called the Respect Project, which are a series of conversations. We're a nonprofit organization now, and we want to inspire conversation that's based in respect because of the need for deep communication, not only between us as loved ones or peers or friends or colleagues, but also just globally. So wherever there's conflict or intolerance or anything that needs to be resolved, I'm leading conversation. I hope that leans into solutions through more mutual respect and listening. And so every conversation that we have, for instance, we have one January 17th on giving and generosity, and we're going to be highlighting a few nonprofits. One is well, St. Jude's is not a nonprofit, but in the sense that that's a hospital that gives. If your child has cancer and you
Right.
you have to go to St. Jude's, you will never have a medical bill for the entirety of your experience there.
Right.
And so we'll be talking about that and a few other organizations. But yeah, I think philanthropically highlighting nonprofits, and then with every conversation we have a commitment to give back financially to a nonprofit. So the Respect Project is about elevating and creating the conversation for people who are trying to change the world and themselves.
Amazing. That's amazing. That's incredible. And so people can go to
They
therespectproject.com.org.
can go to respecttalks.com, but we are now a nonprofit and we are building a fiscal sponsorship program so people can also donate and so forth. And that's just getting up and running. I'll be keeping people posted about that.
Okay, so respecttalks.com.
Yeah.
Good, good. That's great for people to know about. Awesome. I love it. So you and we share something in common too in this German heritage that we have.
We
And
do.
I'm fascinated by that. Tell us about your story, your family's story in Germany. And were you born in Germany and then emigrated to America? Fill us in.
I was. I'm actually going to tell you a little bit of a side story, which I think you'll really appreciate. So I was born in Germany. My dad is German. And my mother, who's passed away already 10 years, she and her best friend of 35 years married brothers. If you can believe it. In their third marriages, they married brothers.
Oh my gosh. Both third marriages too?
Dutch family. The brothers were Dutch. They were Jewish. They tried to escape Holland and got captured and put into concentration camp as children, as boys. And because the Dutch queen was so adamant about, not, her people not being, she was very protective and very outspoken. And if you touch my Jews, there'll be a wrath of God upon you, so that is how they survived. And my mother married Peter. My Aunt Nancy married Olaf, and these children are survivors of the Holocaust. And um, I remember being at my Aunt Nancy's house, and we were reading the family history of that through the perspective of Peter and Olaf's mother. And much like your family story, I have a family story of survival in the Holocaust, but which I've never shared with you. But my Aunt Nancy started to cry when I was reading this whole book. And she said, I never thought in my lifetime I would have a German read this story to me. And I thought it was so profound because I'm not Jewish, but
Right.
I have, a Jewish stepfather, a Jewish stepmother, a Jewish aunt. I have so many, Jewish people in my family. But it was profound to her, because of the history that, I don't know, it was a very raw and tender moment in my family.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so on both sides, I have survivors, and I also have my father's side of the family, which my grandfather was an architect. My father immigrated to the United States before I was born. And I was only born there because my mom, who's American, and he went back for 1 year to deal with his citizenship.
Amazing. So do you still have dual citizenship?
I do, yeah.
Cool, cool. That's something that I need to do. I've been thinking about, applying for since I'm eligible to receive it. And there's something about it that feels really right. And it's like taxes. It's just taking the time to do the paperwork and make sure.
Listen, I just want to be a citizen of the world. After we went through this pandemic, or as we
Right?
were going through this pandemic, I was like, I want to be a citizen of Canada, Germany, all of them. Line them all up. I want to, I wasn't sure I wanted to be here for sure.
Right, right. No, I agree. Half my family's in Canada, the Canadians, and I feel the same way. I'm like, is there any way that we can have citizenship there too? And especially with the borders closing, and it's just a wild, wild time for all of us. The other thing that you've done during the pandemic, in particular, that really is paying it forward in an extraordinary way, is Lunch with Liz.
Yes,
I mean, you're such an inspiration with what you've done, and there are so many people, there are so many viewers here today. I'm so grateful that everybody's showing up, and thank you, Liz, for bringing your viewers over here to Banter with Beth. You are the reason I am doing Banter with Beth, hands down. You are the reason. I mean, you invited me on your show, and it was so much fun, and I was in such a place with Would You Hide Me of needing to raise awareness about the film, raise money about the film. I was like, well, this seems like a great platform. Let's do it. And I asked our mutual friend, Carrie, if it would be okay. And she said, yeah, let me check, and sure, go for it. So it's been a really fun, wild ride doing it. But tell us about how you started Lunch with Liz and what it's morphed into and what your plans for the future are.
Well, I guess much like the Respect Project, I believe and know that we all suffer. We all feel our own isolation. We all have our own story, our own narrative. And the only way we feel safe in this world is if we feel heard and seen and, part of something. And so communication is key. And that's why I created the Respect Project. But I thought as we sort of got locked up, I thought, oh my God, how am I going to maintain connections with human beings, and what can I do to be of service to people, my fans, my friends? Can I create a community of inspiration during this time? And for the first 3 months of the pandemic, I did it every day at 1 o'clock. I had a different guest, and honestly, I mean, it should have just been called FaceTime with Friends, because either they were my friends or they were friends of friends.
Right,
and
right.
It was just a way to build a community, because not everybody has a child, not everybody has a spouse. So many people are alone and are suffering. This pandemic is continuing to go on, which is why I've continued to do Lunch with Liz. Now I do it, sometimes twice a week. I think people have wanted me to continue doing it, but at this point, I've loved it so much that eventually I think I'm going to get off of Instagram and I'm going to do it as a podcast, because
Right on. Cool.
the spirit of Lunch with Liz now is no bullshit conversation from the heart about heartfelt matters, with people who are inspiring, which, you know, as we all struggle with this human experience, which we all do, we need to be inspired by each other. We need to throw each other, you know, a hand and pull people forward. And I think we do it by being revealed and revealing and honest. And I hope that the conversations have been like that. For anybody that's been suffering during the pandemic, if I bring you into a conversation, and I hope it's inspired people to say, you know what, I have something, I have a dream, I want to do this, I want to make an impact. Everybody that's come on has had a really positive story to tell.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I know I can see what people are saying here on the feed. They are so grateful that you've done it and they love it. And they definitely want you to continue on. So I'm excited for you. And I hope that you do the podcast and, like, you know,
Thank you.
go bold or go home. What's the expression? Go big or
go big or go home.
Go big or go home.
Yeah.
So just now, like actor to actor. I mean, I miss acting so much. I'm guessing you do too. Do you miss it?
I'm definitely ready to get back out there and work. You know, it's sometimes hard, I think, to contain all the emotion you have inside of you as a human being, but as an artist, you know, when you know you have that outlet of expression, yeah, I'm very ready to go back to work. I'm very ready to get back in the saddle.
Definitely. And so as an actor, you've had an incredible career. What's the one thing that you haven't done yet that you want to do?
Well, directing was what I wanted to do, and now I'm doing it, and that's really becoming a big focal point for me. But I do think about theater. I think about doing a play in New York or London, you know, trying to get on the stage, just because I feel like the friends of mine that have done theater that are movie actors, TV actors, they're really the best. You know, frankly, they're just really the best, like Sam Waterston or Bradley Cooper. You know, they're really, their whole game changed once, you know, because of the theater and doing, you know, being on the stage. And so I think I would like to do a play at some point soon.
Awesome. Good for
when
you.
when we get theater back, which we don't have for now.
Which we desperately need. You know, there's no question that I think of the arts, the hardest hit have been theaters as well as musicians who tour. You know, all the festivals are closed and there are no live concerts, so to speak. So it's tragic, and it really is up to Hollywood. We have to do whatever we can to nurture that. There was a great article the other day, I think in the New York Times or the Washington Post, how the theater is the incubator for amazing television, for amazing film. And it always has been. And it always will be if we can keep it alive and keep the flame, you know, stoked. We need to give it like a huge injection of funds into these theaters to stay open. Lord knows how they're going to close, you know, by the end of the pandemic.
I don't know. I hope not. I mean, yes, I think if anybody can do anything to give right now, you know, whether it's, you know, ordering food from a restaurant that's shut down, but they're doing takeout, whatever people can do to support each other. I mean, people are suffering and struggling. And if I hear about one more person getting COVID that I know and love, or losing a job that I know and love, it's more than anybody can bear, really. But I don't know. I hope that we'll be moving out. The vaccine is here, so I just hope we'll be moving out of this soon in the next couple of months.
Right. Well, I want to make sure that everybody really understands all the different incredible things that you have been doing, certainly since the pandemic, but before the pandemic. And you're just somebody, like, you just don't leave any grass under your feet. You know, you just keep going and going and creating, whether it's something artistic for your soul or whether it's you caring so much about other people's souls. And like Respect Talk sounds incredible. Can people actually rewatch some of the Respect Talks? Is that something that
I'm going to start posting them on a YouTube channel, so people, as everybody who follows me knows, I'll post on stories just to keep everybody posted about the talk on January 17th, which is about giving and generosity. January 30th, I think it's at 11 in the morning, is on keeping the faith. And there'll be, you know, one or two a month, every month for the rest of the year. So you can also go to respecttalks.com and you can see a little bit of what we've been doing. But yeah, I tend to want to create the things that I need I create what
Mhm.
I feel I need to get through life. And and I think being a human being takes tremendous courage, tenacity, decisiveness. And so I try to create things that would inspire me, I guess.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. That's so great. So I'll go back to my question from before then in terms of something that you haven't done yet that you want to do. What about in terms of a character, a role that you would like to play that you haven't played yet?
That's a funny. I don't know. Maybe like, something appear like a Viking, or like, something like really like Game of Thrones, like something like that. I've never done
Ooh,
that. Most of my characters
yes.
are based in like either, the last, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years,
Sure.
I think that would be incredibly fun to do something like that.
You'd be amazing at that. You'd be
I
great
know,
at that.
just braid my hair all up and, wear
Yes.
furs and yeah.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Well, I hope you make that happen. I think everybody would really enjoy that, especially you. Have you seen Wonder Woman 2 yet, or what do they call it? Wonder Woman
I
84?
have not, but I would have loved to have played one of the whatever they're called,
I can,
gladiators or
yes, yes, I can definitely see you in there. And then what did Joel and I just watch? Bridgerton. We just, so that's not,
mm,
warriors, but it's certainly Regency, restoration or costume drama. And,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's something that I just love that period. All those, the costumes alone in that production are,
Right, the turn of the century, right.
yes, yes. I mean, it's
Yeah.
17th century. And so it's even more glorious. And I think,
Yes.
probably like 2/3 of their budget went to the costumes. It was really incredible. Just
I'm sure.
beautiful.
I'm actually developing a film that I will shoot in Scotland based on a famous female painter in 1911. So
Oh,
I'll get a chance to, I don't know if you saw The Crown, but I'll get a chance to
yes.
sort of, you know, do the Scottish landscape with some great period costumes with
Oh, how
my friend
cool.
Jeff Garner, who has a sustainable fashion company called Prophetic. Everybody should check him out. Very interesting guy.
Cool. That's very cool. Well, I definitely want to hear more about that because that is right up my alley. That just sounds like so much fun. And of course, my husband will be like, Scotland, we're going to Scotland.
I love it.
So
Well, I need to come visit you guys in Ojai. I love it
please,
there. Yeah.
please. We love it here. It really is our Ojai bubble. My sister said to me, she's so funny. She said to me yesterday, because she's here visiting, and she said, so when the pandemic's all over, do you think you're going to kind of look around and say, what have we done? And
Oh,
I said,
because you
no,
moved there during the pandemic?
right, right. I mean, we still have a house in LA, but it's on the market. We're selling it so that we can stay here in Ojai, and we'll get an apartment probably in Venice or Santa Monica or something like that.
Where is your house you're trying to sell?
In the Palisades. If anybody wants to buy a house in the Palisades, it's on the market. It's
Send me the
beautiful.
listing.
I will. I
I'd love
definitely
to see
will.
it.
For sure. For sure. It's got a pool. It's beautiful. View of the ocean. All those things. But
Perfect. I love it.
we have charmed lives, you and I. We have very charmed lives. We get to do what we want to do. And that is a blessing. It is such a blessing.
I
Get
just
to,
want to say thank you to everybody here that's sort of I want to say thank you to Bree for mentioning the movie Ghost Image. Thank you so much. And also I see MI Hassani 6464 talking about the last chip. So thank you guys. I loved making both of those projects. I appreciate that.
it's so nice. I am so grateful that you brought your viewers over here to Banter. I hope you guys continue to show up to Banter and maybe hit a little like button or whatever and share it. But Liz, I cannot wait till we get a chance to get together and hang out and go for a hike and bring the dogs
I love it.
all that. It's been so much fun getting to know you over the last couple months. For me, the pandemic, the hardest part about the pandemic is not meeting new people. I love meeting new people. And this has been like this has just been, you're such a breath of fresh air and you're so inspiring and committed to the work that you're doing on every level. I really want to make sure people know to check out The Girl in the Basement, and you'll be letting people know
It comes
When?
out in February. I'll let everybody know
Great.
the date. Next week we're going to do a press release, and
Perfect.
yeah, I think that's part of why doing the chats, the live IGs have been so great, because at a time of great isolation, not only with my friends but with my guests, with my fans, I've really gotten to know a lot of new people even during a time of tremendous isolation. So I agree with you. I love people and I want to connect. And we've had this, in this terrible inability to connect with, more than just our intimate people in our lives. So I do
Right.
love doing lunch with Liz. I'll continue doing them as well. So
Oh,
everybody can follow and see who's coming. This week I've got Jake Etheridge coming, who's one of the stars of my movie. He's super sexy, Nashville singer. I'm sure I can get him to sing for us. So you guys come
love
check
it.
him out.
Very cool. That's so exciting. Good. And that will be, when is that? Tomorrow or next Tuesday?
Tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Perfect. Tomorrow, 1 p.m., lunch with Liz, right here live on Instagram. That's good.
Thank
And
you.
then I want to remind people to go to respecttalks.com and you can make a
Thank you.
donation there and really support Liz's nonprofit. It sounds like an incredible project.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for coming, and have a great day.
You're so
And just
welcome.
continue to fight your good fight, Beth. You've got a beautiful movie you're making.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. It's an honor to have you and to be continued.
To be continued. All roads lead ahead.
Yes, for sure. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye, guys.
Okay, bye. Bye
Bye.
bye. So Liz is amazing, as you can see. I am so grateful that she joined us today. And thank you guys for showing up. Thanks for coming on Banter today. Happy New Year to everybody. We'll be back on Sunday with Ariel Beth Fink, who has written this fabulous one-person play called My Shiksa Boyfriend. And then next Wednesday, we have Dr. Michael Lawton, who is the president and CEO of Barrow Neurological Institute, and he's going to be talking about bravery and courage. And if anybody knows about bravery and courage, it would be a neurosurgeon. So I'm really thrilled to have Dr. Lawton come on. Please join us, 10 o'clock this Sunday, 10 o'clock next Wednesday, and our guests will continue throughout the month. And please visit wouldyohideme.com. You can also visit our YouTube channel, which is under Beth Lane Film. And we have playlists there of our sample reels, our 60-second doc series, where I think we're dropping another 60-second doc this Friday. And then we have the replays of Banter with Beth. So check it out. Thanks everybody so much, and happy New Year. Bye.